peep, 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 peep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. We're back again. We're gonna keep reading. We're gonna hopefully get through the rest of the text exchange between BadEmpanada and Ryan Beard. And then we'll make our final judgment about it. We last left off with Ryan and Bad having what seems like a pretty fruitful conversation, with Ryan asking good, general, straightforward questions, not like attacky, debatey questions, just normal ass questions. And he's getting educated by Mr. Nada. First name BadEmpa. Last name Nada. BadEmpanada. So, I think we left off here. Ryan saying, so the idea that it was all in response to the war is a justification they use to act like it was all done in retaliation. BadEmp. Yeah, the war started afterwards, and their characterization of it is stupid as well. Few of the countries that intervened had any intention to fully commit, or any capability to do so. But regardless, obviously intervening in reaction to mass terrorist, racial expulsions and killings is just anyway, just as it would be to intervene today for Gaza. Where do you think the Jewish refugees should have gone if America and Europe were refusing to take them? They weren't refusing to take them, though. That's why way more went there than to Israel. Not that it matters. Where should Palestinians go? Back to Palestine makes sense. Well, there's all these Jewish settlers there. They had limits, though, right? So I guess you would support them going there and kicking them out. There were transit camps in Europe for all refugees, Jewish or not, and every country was competing for them. Not just the US and Europe either. Argentina, Australia, Canada, South Africa, everyone sent agents to the camps to try to get post-World War II migrants to come. If Palestinians won a war with Israel and kicked them all out and took the land, I doubt anyone would be saying, well, where were the Palestinians supposed to go? You are Yeat's favorite guy now. Abrupt change. I don't know who Yeat is. Haha, yeah, I saw that. Yeat is not my favorite guy. I try to be level-headed and nuanced, but I don't want that to mean I'm seen as one of the good ones or whatever by right-wingers. Well, think about it. If you really want to play the middle so much that you're so soft on Ethan, it makes all these idiots like you. They are desperate for somebody supposedly neutral to take their side, and right now they think you're the guy. Yeah, I'm aware. I have no desire to be seen as neutral by Yeet. Haha. Honestly, I want to stop commenting on this whole thing altogether. I want to make my video, give my criticism of Ethan and other creators, then move on to talking about other topics, because I'm tired of this never-ending Ethan drama bullshit that's been going on for months and months now. Dan Saltman seems upset with me now. Haha. Ethan's been trying to buy articles and stuff on this. It's pretty sad, honestly. Don't get roped in. Making a video is basically a bad idea unless you're just shitting on Hassan. The fact that this is also toxic, that someone can't try to make a good faith criticism of multiple people involved without getting dogpiled, is one of my issues with this whole situation. Like, just like just a year and a half ago, Ethan and Hassan literally shared a show together. And now this is what it's come to. Now this is what it's all come to. Huge stupidity on Hassan's part. Well, that's the thing. Would you make a good faith criticism of both sides if one side were Nazis? Because one side is Zionists during a Zionist genocide. Can't fence it here. It doesn't seem like you agree with the concept of strategically aligning with people you might disagree with on certain things to advance your overall goals. Which is what Hassan was criticizing you about in your convo. You doesn't seem like you agreed with the concept of strategically aligning with people. If you're an anti-Zionist, then with you and Ethan, the goals are conflicting. It's a zero-sum game. They get their ethno-state or they don't. There's no middle ground here. There's no middle ground there. Best realize it now than later. Yes, but people were able to bring Ethan towards more of the anti-Zionist side before October 7th. You treat people like they can't change their opinions over time. Nah, no one got him anything close to anti-Zionist. West Bank settlements go too far, not close to an anti-Zionist position. You don't think admitting Israel is committing a genocide is at least better than your average American? He doesn't admit it. He conceded that point because he knew he'd lose on it, then conducted himself as someone who does not believe it ever would. Same with saying Hila's a terrorist. Way easier than following the line of questioning that he could only lose. Someone who thinks there's a genocide doesn't act like this about it. Or maybe he's experienced cognitive dissonance, which is what everyone experiences when they realize their fundamental views are being threatened. Someone who was raised being fed constant Israeli propaganda is not usually going to easily flip to the other side innately. He wasn't, though. He's an American Jew who hated Israel before and only started having positive feelings towards it once it started doing a genocide. I do think he absolutely is experiencing cognitive dissonance, which is why he's lashing out so much. It feels really bad to realize something you've believed for a long time might be false. There are many videos of him from before talking about how much he hated Israel. Now he says it's actually awesome, multicultural, and doesn't even have apartheid. Terrorism is often used by imperialist states to gain support because they make their people feel like they're under threat. That's why everyone was pro-George Bush after 9/11 in the U.S. If anything, he's becoming more pro-Israel by having seen it do all of this. Until Iraq failed, Ethan has seen the equivalent of that, and he's more pro-Israel than ever. Should give pause. Yeah, you're right. He's weaponizing the trauma of the Jewish community. That's why he thinks it's different. You are insanely charitable towards him and very uncharitable towards people on the correct side who are against him on this. I'm not justifying his actions. I'm trying to understand them. It's going to bite you in the ass because we can take this shit, but Ethan can't. You could make a video where you say 5,000 nice things about him and 2 mild criticisms, and he would only hear the latter. I can also understand why someone might want to cleanse the entire Israeli population because of all the shit they've done, but I don't think that's good either. I am curious, are you in favor of a democratic one state? Because I've seen you say you are, but I've also seen you basically say we should kill all Israelis, which would not lead to a democratic one state. Sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one. Ethan's an adult baby coddled by everyone around him always, all the time. He waddled his way into the wrong side of a very serious issue and is merely acting like he always has. Just no one noticed it before because he's never ventured into anything much past YouTube drama. One state with property returned, yes. Yeah, I agree with that assessment. and deportation of anyone not born there except people who moved when they were under 18, because fuck them. I don't agree with that last bit, but yeah, the most moral thing would definitely be one state with right of return. But you mentioned in your debate with Lonerbox that it wouldn't happen all at once. The people who choose to move there have no excuse. I mean, yeah, if it's like a rich Brooklyn Jew that has somewhere to return to, maybe. I just don't think that's feasible. It definitely is, but regardless, far off now. Israel is more likely to collapse in on itself than some sort of process like this happening in the near future. When you say collapse in on itself, do you mean like some sort of civil war? Maybe, but the country and its model are unsustainable. There's 1,000 things that could happen. Between that, its reliance on allies, the neighbors' potential to become hostile, the lack of military manpower. Yeah, I think as long as the U.S. backs them, they should be safe. But maybe that could change, I guess. The horrible reality is that sometimes ethnic cleansing does help the people doing the ethnic cleansing and it doesn't cause a collapse, like with the U.S. and Australia. Very different environments. Those colonies had no potential limits and endless reinforcements. Israel operates in a completely different reality. I sent you a message covering that earlier, the one about liberal Zionists. Sure, I know they're surrounded by countries that hate them. Do you have screenshots of the first time Ethan spread the fake tweets on his story? Which ones? Like when he spread the jerking off to dead babies tweet. Around 7 minutes in.
Our hollow. I mean, Hassan has been glazing up. This dude, BadEmpanada. I don't know if you guys know who that is. He's like actually psychotic, and he's been making a lot of hate videos about me and calling Ela a terrorist and baby killer and all this. And Hassan's been enjoying his videos. Here's a tweet from him. You guys will enjoy this. It says, oh, Hamas raped a bunch of babies and kids now? Where's the video evidence of it? I was looking to jerk off anyway. You think I'm kidding? That's a real tweet. That's Hassan's guy right there, boy.
Okay, so the tweet that he just read there is a fake. BadEmpanada proved that. He actually wasn't even on. His account was actually suspended from Twitter at the time that was purported to be sent. And the only evidence of it that's ever been seen is a screenshot that's clearly photoshopped with a picture, with that funny picture. BadEmp. It's an amazing meme moment, actually. This is a real tweet. At that point, I'd only made videos on him turning around the terrorist argument he made on Hila and another refuting his downplaying of the Nakba. And Hassan did not even watch them. He watched an unrelated video I made on Destiny and Lonerbox. And Ethan reacts by just ignoring my arguments and posting the first bad things he found about me. He said it a couple more times on the podcast. Said I'm a wanted criminal and dozens of people are after me. Said he's in a Discord server he called a BadEmpanada support group with other people who hate me. Said he got my Discord server logs and he's going to use them to get me put in prison. I put all that into my stream intro, by the way. It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, as far as I've seen, there's nothing in your Discord that can get you sent to prison. Wow, I bet you looked, didn't you, Ryan? Bet you were looking. BadEmp. Also implied like 20 times the only reason anyone might want to live in Argentina is to escape some sort of crime. Oh, there was one time you shared an address attached to Vosh's name on there from what I've seen. Was that his real address? The only unfunny part is that his fans believe this stuff. No, Lamau, that was a joke. I tried to look up the address and it wasn't a real address. Beverly Hills 90210 is the only postcode I know. It's from the show. Yeah, the address seemed fishy to me as someone who used to live near there. But you have to realize making jokes like that is not going to look good for you. Lamau, if someone says I dox someone by posting a fake street from a TV show, that sounds fun. Why did you accuse Ethan of doxing you? You have shown your name on your stream before, and you've also looked up the names of people like Slazek. Because I never released my name on purpose, and he got it because in the Discord server they have a docs archive with scans of my passport. Haha, we've been over this. I know you think doing that to Slazek was justified. So the Slazek was a guy running for office. I don't know for what country. I'm just saying it feels like a stretch to say Ethan doxed you with that info that you've shown multiple times. I definitely agree he defamed you, though. I hate it when the guy whose name is on ballots for national political office gets doxed by sharing his profile from his official party website. I mean, yeah, you could make that same argument that you have shown your name so it isn't doxing against you. Ethan is in a Discord server full of doxes originally obtained by people who stole them from government records facilitated by the new fascist government in Argentina. That's how he got it. That's the BadEmpanada support group. I don't know if how he got it is necessarily relevant. Now, if he shared your passport or something, yeah, that would be doxing. Oh, so that's not doxing. Literally illegally stolen private information. Ha 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 ha. Ethan's address is the first result on Google. Do you back me making a video about it? Oh, I mean, yeah, if someone shared the illegally stolen info, that would be doxing whoever did that. No, Ethan hasn't shown his address on his own stream. Doesn't matter. It's public info, as Ethan said. It just doesn't seem to me like you were really trying to hide your name, but if you claim you were, that's fine. Public info is fair game, folks. That's a straw man. I'm not saying all public info is fair game. Doesn't matter that he's in a server with people who stalk me obsessively because I refuted them in a video once. I'm saying public info that someone shared on their own stream is fair game. Look, I'm 100% behind you on the defamation angle. I just don't agree that him sharing your name when you have already shared it yourself is doxing. So Ryan keeps saying that BadEmp has shared his real name. BadEmp says he hasn't. Or at least not intentionally. Maybe like it accidentally flashed it up on screen during a live stream or something. He's given props to Kraut for his stalking on his podcast before. Don't come at me with this doxing shit when you love Ethan Klein this much. I don't love Ethan Klein. I'm just trying to get the truth of the matter here. I'm planning to defend you with the defamation stuff. He doxes people live on his stream and gets away with it. Yeah, I'm going to criticize him for going on to the Instagram of that person that was mean to Gila. People leave negative Reddit comments about him, and he gets his fans to dox them and shares it. He sends legal letters to random Redditors. Yeah, I agree, that's ridiculous. I haven't seen evidence of him sharing a dox of a Redditor. I know that when he's threatening to sue them, that would cause them to have to release their info publicly. Right now, he's playing the victim and saying it's wrong to report him for charity fraud he factually did do. He doxed a guy who posted on the Snark subreddit suggesting people report the charity scam to the FBI. How did he dox them? Sharing their real name? Okay, we got another link here. What is it? Purple on gray is like invisible. It's impossible to read. So this is a Reddit. Ethan Klein is currently conducting a doxing witch hunt on IG stories, breaking both Instagram and YouTube TOS. The person who reported H3 to the FBI would have already given their information to the FBI. This is insane. If you know who this person is, please contact us. He has committed a felony false FBI report against Palestinian activists and refugee Ahmed Foucault al-Khadib. Okay. From YouTube/Google. As a YouTube creator, you should remain responsible both on and off the platform. If we see creators on or off the platform behavior harms our users, community, employees, or ecosystem, we may take action. No, they won't. He cries about CPS being called on him, but this is how he spends his time. Bro, it's Saturday. Take your family out to the park or something. Committed felony false FBI reports against Palestinian activist and refugee. So Ethan is like, it's like a real trying to pretend that he's pro-Palestine. The guy he's talking about, not the one, not Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib, is a fucking Zionist propagandist who happens to have come from Palestine, but he didn't live there very long. And he's just a puppet for the Zionist propaganda. And they pulled a dirty trick on Ethan's stream where they're like, donate to Palestine. And then they're just donating to his like personal project for the Atlanta Council. So somebody reported them to the FBI because that's charity fraud. And then they found out who did that, and then now they're doxing that guy. His fans found out who he was after that, and Ethan shared it all. I saw you were trying to get people to file FBI reports against Ethan. Indeed. Don't you think that's a bit overboard in the same way him threatening to sue Redditors is overboard? Getting people to donate to a pro-Palestinian think tank and saying it's donating to Palestine is charity fraud. He'd actually be in trouble for it too, but it's Israel, so... I think that's debatable since he did also include a way to donate to that food bank. I definitely agree it's incredibly slimy, but I don't know if I'd go to the level of charity fraud. Dude, if you do like half fraud and half not fraud, you did fraud. You stupid fuck. Come on, Ryan. Come on, Ryan. It's like if a guy committed a murder... murdered one guy and assaulted another guy. It's like, I don't know if it's... I think it's debatable whether he's a full-on murderer. I mean, he did kill that one guy, but he only assaulted the other guy. He should be put in prison for that. It's the worst thing he's done by far. I need to go watch the clip and see if he directly implied that the Atlantic Council money would be going to help Palestinians. I'm 100% in agreement that it was bad. The question I'm trying to figure out is if it raises to the level of fraud. What are you, a fucking attorney, Ryan? Just call a lawyer then. Just call a lawyer and have him give his opinion on it. You dumb fuck. Why are you trying to figure out if it raises to the level of fraud? And like, well, it depends on the wording of the statute. Like, fuck off, dude. It's the general meaning of the word. Doing fraud. Mixing a little fraud in there. It doesn't have to 100% be fraud in order to be fraud. That's usually how people do fraud. They kind of like slide it in. Mix it in with legitimate business. They titled the segment Donate to Palestine and never changed it even after being called out. Yeah, but you could argue that he's meaning the food bank when he says that. Ryan, why are you just trying to stick up for him?
Fundraiser was for the Atlantic Council directly. All proceeds went to the fucking Atlantic Council.
So that's just a straight up defamatory outright lie.
He presented it as though he was fundraising for the fucking Palestinians in Gaza. I cannot imagine
100% outright defamatory lie.
something more gross than this. Fundraiser was for the Atlantic Council directly. All proceeds went to the fucking Atlantic Council.
So that's just a straight up defamatory outright lie.
He presented it as though he was fundraising for the fucking Palestinians in Gaza. I cannot imagine
100% outright defamatory lie.
something more gross than this.
Okay, so he's lying. He's saying it doesn't go to the Atlantic Council at all. Oh, Ryan. Oh, okay. Well, that's different. Ha ha. So far, Ryan is like kind of like having these like real surface level assumptions. A lot of shit that you would just like. You don't even have to do deep research. Like you could literally just like lurk around on Leftovers H3. You know, every day, like an obsessive fucking creep like I do, and know a lot of the answers to a lot of these questions. So, I don't know what stage of research he was at this point, but it's kind of worrying. But Ryan seems to be conceding a lot of these points of like, oh, okay. Well, I don't think he ever said that. I don't think he ever actually lied about what the money was going to. It's like, here's him lying. Oh, okay, well, I guess that's different then, huh? And Ela implied it goes to Gaza in the latest podcast episode. By the way, he also posted a tweet from Ahmed on his story the same day which says it goes to the Atlantic Council. He forgets what he himself said an hour earlier. It's insane. Oh boy. This guy, okay. Another disclaimer. Again, this guy's a fucking Zionist propagandist who happens to be Palestinian. His family was killed by Israelis. He got swept up and moved to America. And, works for the Atlantic Council, who is a Israeli propaganda organization. So he always does the whole like as a Palestinian kind of shit, right? Now, we're gonna have to take a quick little intermission, and I'm going to visit the room of bath. All right, so hang on. All right. So whatever. I've just glazed over this first paragraph, and I don't even give a fuck. I want to read this part. YouTuber Ethan Klein hosted me on his podcast and donated $1,000 each to the World Food Program Gaza Appeal and to Realign for Palestine, my project at the Atlantic Council, an umbrella nonprofit think tank organization in Washington, D.C., where I work. Hassan said all proceeds went to the Atlantic Council. That's not true if you include the food bank donations. Proceeds from Realign to Palestine did, and regardless, mentioning these things in the same breath is criminal. Ahmed also chose the WFP because it's the least effective option. The WFP has food for 4 months. The problem isn't Israel won't let it in. I agree it's incredibly gross to include both a Palestinian charity and a think tank and then place all that under the umbrella of donate to Palestine. I'm just not enough of an expert in charity fraud to know if that would be considered fraud, since he did at least include a legitimate charity. Bro, why are you on this line of thinking? If somebody cheats, it doesn't matter if they cheated everything. Like, if you're playing a chess tournament and you cheat just for one move, you cheated. No, he didn't. It's just that he didn't cheat for the previous 5 moves and the subsequent 7 moves. I don't know if you... I'm just not an expert in chess to know if that counts as cheating. Ryan Beard, you are being silly. Ethan himself also donated $1K to the Atlantic Council personally. Yeah, I know. Which I agree is bad unless they actually are helping Palestinians. I don't know enough about the Atlantic Council. Does the Atlantic Council at the very least promote a 2-state solution? The Atlantic Council is a U.S. government-funded offshoot, majority funded by them. Their whole purpose is to frame liberal Zionism as pro-Palestinian. They're also funded by the UAE. Search Ahmed's tweets for UAE for a good time. What is the U.S. government's official stance? Do they promote a two-state solution, at least on paper? I'm, of course, not defending the U.S., just trying to understand. Literally no one likes the UAE, but he's always praising them. It's so blatant. But yeah, I agree with you. It definitely seems like liberal Zionists. U.S. government stance has always been 2-state, but by that they mean Bandustans. I've heard this word. I don't know what it means. A Bandustan was a territory that the National Party administration of the Union of South Africa Bandu, a black homeland, black state, something known as a homeland, was a territory that the National Party, which was the bad guys, the apartheid guys, administration set aside for black inhabitants of South Africa or Southwest Africa, now Namibia, as part of its policy of apartheid. The term first used by late 1940s was coined from the Bantu, meaning people in some of the Bantu languages, and stan, a suffix meaning land, in Persian and other Persian-influenced languages. It subsequently came to be regarded as the disparaging term by some critics of the apartheid-era government's homelands. Atlantic Council. Israel's Iran strike provides a historic chance for Middle East realignment. History will remember this moment less for the Israeli strikes themselves and more for what follows. By fusing intelligence and special operations, Israel's strikes on Iraq are a lesson in strategic surprise. Wow. So like a sucker punch, murdering people. Atlantic Council, they call it the Israel-Hamas War. 1 year after Hamas' October 7th terrorist attack, here's how the regions... Oh, man. Don't you feel so bad for those... Oh, my God. So, yeah. It's some liberal bullshit. The org is just blatantly pro-Israel and designed to mislead people, framed as a movement when it's just Ahmed. Yeah, it seems like they spend way more time condemning Hamas than actually supporting Palestine. Do you think there's any room to at least say that you ideologically disagree with Hamas's Islamist ideology in their goal to make the entire region an Arab state? Because wouldn't that just be the same problem of an ethno-state, but in the opposite direction? So, Ryan, where are you getting that info? Because I've yet to see any evidence that that's Hamas's ideology. The only official stuff about Hamas explicitly said they didn't care what your religion was. You could be whatever religion you wanted. They didn't want to make the whole region an. There are Arabs can be Jewish or Christian or anybody. It just means you live in the Arab speaking places and you speak Arabic. Like it's not a race. It's an ethnicity. It's not a race. But even mentioning this shit is just wrecked stuff. You seem really keen on finding caveats to be like, of course X is bad, but you actually don't have to do that. I'd be an Islamist too if those demons killed my family. So would you. I do at least think stating that you disagree with Islamism has rhetorical benefits. Hamas are two statists. Their official policy is they accept whatever the Palestinian National Movement votes on. So the premise is wrong, but it shouldn't matter. Sure, but I probably would also be a Zionist if I lived in Israel. Most people stick with the ideology they were raised in. Okay, that's good to know. Bad things are bad and good things are good. No one was forced into being a Nazi. No one is forced to be a Zionist. Yeah, no one is forced to be an Islamist either. Indeed you are. When you're being genocided, starved, and your family are all massacred, religion is the only solace. They unfortunately were not homeschooled. No offense. But you come off as a pompous cunt saying this. I think you can be a Muslim without being an Islamist. What's the Israelis' excuse exactly? No one murdered their family. No one starved them. You see the difference? I doubt it, unfortunately. Well, I mean, there were Jews who were kicked out in pogroms. You couldn't say that they have an excuse, but you could say they have an excuse, but it's still not justified. When? 1943? I think you're thinking I'm trying to draw an equivalence between Islamism and Zionism. I'm not. It's more understandable for Palestinians to be Islamists than Israelis to be Zionists. By Palestinians? In Israel, Jews do pogroms. Come to terms with reality. Yeah, Israel is very racist towards their Arab Jewish population. I'm not saying these things are equivalent. I'm just saying I disagree with both Zionism and Islamism as ideologies. However, in Israel right now, the main threat is Zionism, not Islamism. Yeah, I get it. The barbaric Arabs with their crazy terrorist religion, etc. Come on, don't do that. I don't think that all Islamists are barbaric, but I do disagree with using any religion to uphold a government, whether that be Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. Watch this and tell me the evil Islamist terrorist is not, in fact, the only rational person in the room.
You had a long list of demands for Israel for you to stop firing rockets. And those lists of demands included for Israeli police and forces to leave Al-Aqsa, for the people in Sheikh Jarrah, for their homes to be protected, and also for the blockade of Gaza to be lifted. None of these have actually been guaranteed to you. Are you committed to this ceasefire?
واحنا من خوضنا هذه الجولة من الصراع مع الاحتلال أردنا أن نوصل رسالة للاحتلال. هي فقط رسالة كانت. واحنا كنا جاهزين لوقف اطلاق النار بعد ساعات من بدء تفجر هذه الجولة. كنا وابلغنا الوسطاء في اليوم الاول وفي اليوم الثاني وفي اليوم الثالث، ابلغنا الاخوة المصريين، ابلغنا الاخوة القطريين، ابلغنا ممثلي الامم المتحدة ان لدينا الاستعداد لوقف اطلاق النار فورا ودون شروط. فقط نحن أردنا أن نوصل رسالة للاحتلال بأنه لا يمكننا أن نقبل أن يستفرد بالمسجد الأقصى وبالقدس وبأهلنا في الشيخ جراح، وأن يستمر في سياسته التي تخالف القانون الدولي وتخالف القرارات الدولية في القدس وفي الضفة الغربية بالاستيطان ومصادرة الأراضي، وباستمرار الحصار ضد أهلنا وضدنا في قطاع غزة، وباستمرار سياسات الفصل العنصري والتمييز العنصري ضد أهلنا في داخل الأراضي المحتلة عام 48. وأهلنا في الداخل هو الذي سيحدد شكل المستقبل القريب إن شاء الله رب العالمين.
So the war isn't completely over.
وهذه يعني احنا الصراع اللي بيننا وبين الاحتلال اللي اغتصب أرضنا وهجر أهلنا ولا زال يمارس القتل والتشريد ومصادرة الأراضي والاعتداء على المقدسات معركة مفتوحة، معركة مفتوحة. احنا مقتنعين قناعة يقينية بأنه نحن لا نريد الحرب ولا نريد القتال لأنه كلفته باهظة، وشعبنا احنا في غنى عن مثل هذه المواجهات وهذه الحروب. احنا في فترات طويلة لجأنا إلى أساليب المقاومة الشعبية السلمية والمقاومة الشعبية، وللأسف الشديد جدا كنا نعتقد بأنه العالم والدول العالم والشعوب الحرة والمنظومات الدولية تقف إلى جانب شعبنا وتكبح الاحتلال من أن يرتكب جرائم ومجازر ضد شعبنا. لكن للأسف الشديد جدا وقف العالم متفرجا على آلة حرب جيش الاحتلال وهي تقتل أبنائنا.
We know that over 230 people were killed, many children were killed, and there's also investigations into potential war crimes that took place when Gaza was bombarded. But also we know that Hamas fired rockets into civilian areas in Israel and also killed people and children, not on the same scale as Israel, but that did happen. How do you respond to that? They are also allegations of war crimes.
إسرائيل التي تمتلك ترسانة الحرب الكبرى اللي فيها أدق الأسلحة وأعتى الطائرات تقتل أطفالنا ونسائنا بعمد وتقصد وهي تريد ذلك، لا يمكن أن يقارن بمن يقاوم ويدافع عن حقه بأسلحة بسيطة. إحنا لو كان لدينا القدرة على أن نضرب صواريخ دقيقة وموجهة تصل إلى أهداف عسكرية لما ضربنا هذه الصواريخ، لكن إحنا مضطرين أن ندافع عن شعبنا بالوسائل المتاحة لدينا. هذا ما هو متاح لدينا. ماذا نستطيع أن نفعل؟ هل نرفع الراية البيضاء؟ نحن لن نرفع الراية البيضاء. هل مطلوب منا أمام العالم أن نقتل وأن نكون الضحية الطيبة حسنة الأخلاق التي تقتل دون أن يرتفع لها صوت؟ هذا غير ممكن بالمطلق. نحن قررنا أن ندافع عن شعبنا بما أوتينا من قوة.
All right, that was very it was heavy. There's a lot to take in after watching that. So that was the former, well, because he's dead now, head of the Hamas, the head of the government, and literally, yeah, as BadEmpanada says it. The only rational person in the room. I've heard a lot of other leaders of countries talking, and I don't think I've ever thought, damn, like he's just spitting facts. He just cooked. When have you ever heard a world leader talk and not want to say, like, oh my God, this fucking maniac is the most ridiculous piece of shit in the world. How can anyone take this motherfucker seriously? Like, I feel like I'm always saying that when the quote unquote good guy leaders are flapping their stupid gums on television somewhere. Compare that to what we just watched. It's the only rational person in the room. Your characterization of Hamas is based on propaganda. Islamism is not central to their governance or operations. Ryan Beard, sure, that might be true. I need to look into it more. Yeah, Ryan, you need to look into it at all. I mean, you're coming in hot for BadEmpanada. You're like, you're a piece of shit. You dox people. No, I don't. Prove it. Well, what about this example here? And this example, and he's like, nope, didn't dox him. And then he's like, well, yeah, but sometimes you bait people into responding to you. Okay. That's not a thing. That's not a crime. That's just like a social media YouTube strategy. You're coming in hot, you're like, I am totally anti-Zionist, but like, Hamas is really bad though, right? Just looking at the relatively small issues in face of what's actually happening. They are much more anti-colonial nationalists than anything else. They work with all the non-Muslim Palestinian armed groups just fine. Yeah. Which countries would you consider more fully Muslim or fully Islamist? Saudi Arabia? Their only conflict is with the PA, which is an Israeli-American puppet. The PA, I don't know what that is. I understand that Islamism is a very sensitive word because of the anti-terrorism connotations attached to it. Saudi Arabia isn't Islamist, really. They just use it as a means of control for the monarchy. Only Iran is, as in actual clerics in government. All I'm trying to say... That's a red flag when we start sentences with all I'm trying to say. Nobody ever says this and means it what it means literally. What this means, all I'm trying to say is let me rephrase what I'm saying to make it more acceptable to you. I'm going to try to like twist it around and bend it to be something that I think you'll find pleasing. You'll finally say, yep, you're a good boy. Good job, soldier. That's what he's looking for. And this is not just Ryan, this is anybody. All I'm trying to say is, and then you're just going to try to soften up whatever you just said before, right? You're going to try to restate it into a beautifully crafted sentence that anyone rational who hears it is going to be compelled to go, oh, yes, perfect, yeah, facts, amen. That's what they want. They want the amen. They want the amen. All I'm trying to say is that Islamism has been genuinely used to oppress a lot of people. But I agree with you that constant fears about Islamism in Israel are just used to prop up Zionist propaganda. He's like a chat GPT machine where you're like, just give me a neutral explanation of any issue and just make sure to say something about each side of the argument. All I'm trying to say, Islamism has genuinely been used to oppress a lot of people. So we've talked about sentences like this. These are, I can't remember. There's like a term for something like this. Oh yeah, truism, right? It's something that's true, but doesn't have any like relevant meaning, right? Because you're just saying like, I need to bring up this unrelated thing because BadEmp has already explained to him that Islamism is not central to their governance nor their operations. At that point, Ryan, if you're listening, you should be like, oh, for real? I need to look into it more. And to be fair, you literally did say that. Well, you said, sure, that might be true. I need to look into it more. And then you start asking, like, well, wait, who are Islamists then? Who are the Islamists? And then he explains that Saudi Arabia is in name only, and Iran is in practice because they have actual religious people in government, actual clerics in government. So then Brian just does his little like, let me just rephrase it so you can pat me on my head and tell me I did a good job. And BadEmp's like who, where? Lol. Up until 1900, Islamic governments were the least bad ones in human history. Up until 1900. I'm sure you would agree that they generally oppress women in Islamic countries. Religion is a symptom of poverty. Focusing on it instead of all the factors causing it is just a red herring and makes you vulnerable to narratives designed to divert your focus. But saying they don't in Christian countries as well. Wait, I'm sure you would agree that they generally oppose women in Islamic countries, but saying they don't in Christian countries as well. But religion is a symptom of poverty. Focusing on it instead of all the factors causing it is just a red herring and makes you vulnerable to narratives designed to divert your focus. That's a very good point, too, I think. Religion is a symptom of poverty. It's an interesting claim. Is that true? I don't really care what the AI has to say about it. Oxford Academy, Atheism, The Economist. Religious belief really does seem to draw the sting of poverty, whether the cause is spiritual or social remains to be determined. I hate you can only read the headline, because that's kind of bullshit to just read headlines of stuff. You don't have access to this chapter. Let's read the abstract. Poverty is a human condition determining human behavior. Social, economic, psychological, political, and religious factors have effects on society and can alleviate or worsen poverty. This chapter suggests several functions of religion regarding poverty. Religion can redirect human thought to spiritual concerns, focusing on spiritual poverty. Religions can view poverty either as something desirable, as proof of piety, or as a curse, punishment, or sign of lack of faith. Religion can influence the response to poverty by having an ethical impact when principles benefiting all in society are applied within economic systems, fostering greater generosity. Perspectives from three religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, are discussed and compared. Although Islam and Judaism exhibit institutionalized forms of dealing with poverty in terms of tzedakah and zakat, Christianity encourages spontaneous acts of kindness towards people, or towards the poor, as acts of faith. Prosperity theology as one expression of dealing with the materiality is discussed. All interesting, a lot of interesting stuff from here. I don't know what these things are. Tzedakah. In Hebrew, a Hebrew word meaning righteousness, but commonly used to signify charity. The concept of charity differs from the modern Western understanding of charity. The latter is typically understood. Wait, did I see this right? Yeah, it's a blue. They're using the blue Star of David. Interesting that Wikipedia uses the color blue Star of David on their article on their series on Judaism. Anyway, the latter is typically understood as spontaneous acts of goodwill as a marker of generosity. Tzedakah is an ethical obligation and is not properly charity like in Christendom, but a way to empower poor people to support themselves, helping them in developing their talents and skills. Refers to the religious obligation to do what is right and just, which Judaism emphasizes as an important part of living a spiritual life. But unlike voluntary philanthropy, tzedakah is seen as a religious obligation that must be performed regardless of one's financial standing, and so is mandatory even for those of limited financial means. Tzedakah is considered to be one of the three main acts that can positively influence an unfavorable heavenly decree. Okay. So, yeah. Zionists don't follow that. What is zakat? Religious duty for all Muslims. Okay, so this seems to be a parallel with that from what is it? From Judaism to Islam. It's one of the 5 pillars. Zakat is the Arabic word for giving to charity, giving to the needy. Zakat is a form of almsgiving, often collected by the Muslim Ummah. It is considered in Islam a religious obligation, and by Quranic ranking is next after prayer in importance. 8 heads of zakat are mentioned in the Quran. As one of the 5 pillars, zakat is a religious duty for all Muslims who meet the necessary criteria of wealth to help the needy. It's a mandatory charitable contribution. Who meet the necessary criteria of wealth. It's often considered to be a tax. The payment and disputes on zakat have played a major role in the history of Islam, notably during the Ridda Wars. Zakat on wealth is based on the value of all one's possessions. It is customarily 2.5% of a Muslim's total savings and wealth above a minimum amount known as nisab each lunar year. But Islamic scholars differ on how much nisab is and other aspects of zakat. According to Islamic doctrine, the collected amount should be paid to the poor and the needy, zakat collectors, orphans, widows, those to be freed from slavery, the aged who cannot work to feed themselves, those in debt, in the causes of God, and to benefit the stranded traveler. Today, in Muslim-majority countries, zakat contributions are voluntary, while in Libya, Malaysia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, and Yemen, zakat is mandated and collected by the state as of 2015. So, okay, that's kind of a good, concrete example of, what, is this a Muslim country? How much is that Muslim? So you have these 6 countries where this participating in the religious act of giving, which, to be honest, does sound very much like a tax, and it's collected by the state. Shias, unlike Sunnis, have traditionally regarded zakat as a private action, and they give zakat to imam-sponsored rather than state-sponsored collectors, but it is also obligatory for them. Okay. Libya, Malaysia, Pakistan. Yeah, nobody talk. They didn't talk about any of these countries except Saudi Arabia. The Sudan flag is just the upside down Palestine flag. Interesting. Oh wait, no. The triangle is different. So the triangle is green and red's on top, black's on bottom. That's Sudan. You could probably get away with flying that one and no one would notice it. So this is just some bullshit people on Reddit talking about things. 9 out of 10 of the poorest countries are on the continent of Africa. 1 is in the Middle East. The predominant religion in 8 of those African countries is Christianity. 2 are Islam. The population in the Middle East country practices Islam. The following are the 10 poorest countries in the world and the predominant religions they practice, with the exception of the 3 that have significant percentage of other religions. I don't see how that's relevant. You have to talk about how religious they are. Like how it's not super meaningful to just say like what religion is dominant. Like if the country has that as their official religion and they like have shitty fascist practices that they do with the religion, that makes a big difference, right? And also just describing a country's wealth doesn't tell you much about like the quality of life in a country. U.S., I guess, is insanely wealthy, but it's a fucking hellhole. It's a fucking fascist dictatorship. It's a dystopia. So, anyway. So Ryan's like, they oppress women. Oh yeah, when he said religion is a symptom of poverty. There's no specific need to worry about theocracy in third world countries because it's a problem that will fix itself if you focus on everything else. Ryan, yeah, that's true. I made that same argument in my video against Asmongold. So we watched some of that. His Asmongold video. There was some weird little things. Overall, I found it to be sounded like him trying to be as radical as possible. Well, I guess it depends what kind of crowd you run with, but he seems more like a centrist from the perspective of people who are firmly like leftists, but he probably thinks he's being like a pretty edgy leftist by not condemning Hamas, but only condemning Hamas a little bit because he still has to condemn Hamas. So BadEmp says, when people do focus on them, it's a problem. Hamas wouldn't exist after like 20 years of Palestine just not being killed. The Taliban won't exist in 20 years. Yeah, I agree. Poverty directly fuels theocratic radicalization. These things fix themselves if you just don't fuck these countries up. Like, I think Australia being more atheist compared to the US because they have more social safety nets shows this. Hamas got popular because they didn't cave in instantly, refused bad deals, and fought back when necessary, not because of the Islamism. Out of basically every religious militia in the Middle East, they're the least focused on religious politics. Yeah, I understand why people would have wanted that compared to other groups who tried to work with Israel, which never helped them. If Israel always deals in bad faith and doesn't want actual diplomacy, it makes sense why people would turn to Hamas. And Ryan, you're ignoring the point that he just made. That they're the least focused on religious politics. Are you going to acknowledge that? BadEmp. The PA was created by Israel and the USA as part of a strategy to turn the former resistance leaders in the West Bank into U.S.-Israeli paid bureaucrats. So they're not even a real thing. Okay, PA, I guess, is the Palestinian Authority. They're the current government in the West Bank, right? Israel governs the West Bank, lol. The PA just handles civil matters between Palestinians. They are 100% Israel/US funded. If Israel tells them to do something, they do it. Do you have evidence of that? I'm be curious to look into it. It's not something that needs evidence. The West Bank is under Israeli military law, occupied since 1967. The PA has a police force, but it's subordinate to the IDF, and it constantly arrests and hands over people to the IDF. What happened to the PLO? They are the former leaders that got turned into bureaucrats. When Hamas was elected in Gaza in 2006, the U.S.-Israel backed a coup attempted by the PA against Hamas. Who do you think should replace Hamas in the future if they're no longer necessary? What? Ryan, we're in the middle of what happened about... Oh, whatever. That's how under control they are. So he's saying that the PLO, Palestinian something, I don't remember. They are the former leaders that got turned into bureaucrats. Okay. That's how under control they are. Who should replace Hamas? Anyone who fights Israel. But that's too vague. You ask a lot of very vague hypothetical questions. Yeah. Yeah, like what kind of question is this? Like it's not up to anybody like Brian or BadEmpanada who should quote unquote replace Hamas in the future. They're fighting for their fucking lives. And they're fucking losing. But they're never going to go away. And it's like whatever. Oh fuck. Let's just imagine being like, oh, let's go liberate that state. And you're like, yeah, but in the largest village, who will be the new mayor? Who will be the next mayor? Doesn't fucking matter. Okay, Ryan, let's justify why you're asking these questions. I'm just doing that because I'm trying to figure out solutions. I know a lot of these questions don't have easy answers. What do you want me to say? Like, yeah, there should be a communist Palestine or something? Haha, sure, you can say that if you want. Hamas are the biggest group that has actually fought Israel. They aren't crazed Islamists or anything. They've always been first and foremost just a liberation movement. All you have to do is watch or read some interviews with its leaders. They never bring up religion. Yeah, I'm not trying to say they're all purely evil Islamist terrorists. Haha, that's obviously stupid. If you really want to learn something, watch this video.
The Sobibor Extermination Camp, Poland, World War II. On October 14, 1943, a group of Jewish inmates and prisoners of war launched an insurrection. Knowing they were facing death or worse, they had made a careful, secret plan to quietly assassinate the top SS officers one after the other, take their weapons, sabotage the communications infrastructure, kill the remaining guards, take over the armory, open the gates, and let the rest of the prisoners escape and join the partisans. At the time that I'm recording this, Israel has just invaded Rafah. The official death toll far exceeds 30,000, with presumably tens of thousands more buried under the rubble. Forced starvation continues with barely any aid coming through, and university campuses around the world are becoming sites of rebellion where people confront their states and institutions' complicity with genocide. The horrors continue, but so does resistance, with Palestinian armed factions fighting back ferociously in Gaza, with Hezbollah continuing to pin Israeli forces to the north, and with Ansarullah in Yemen continuing its naval blockade. By the time I get around to publishing this, there will likely be some new Israeli atrocity and new development. The situation keeps changing. Al-Aqsa flood and the Gaza ghetto uprising are still unfolding, and a lot of what I say might become dated within days or even hours. So I'm trying as much as possible to think of this video as an evergreen essay, as something that could hopefully stay relevant after the news cycle will inevitably move on. I heard about the attack first thing in the morning of October 7th when I checked my phone and saw the family WhatsApp blowing up with messages. My older sister lived until October 7th in one of the kibbutzim in the Gaza envelope with her kids. And they were locked in the safe room for the day and were luckily able to flee the area. But I'm not here to talk about my own situation. I'm here to talk about October the 7th, its aftermath, Israel's genocidal response, the guerrilla defense, the uprising, the history and present of Israeli counterinsurgency, the military philosophy behind it, and how everything changes in the Middle East now, how to make sense of this, and what we can possibly learn from this theoretically, tactically, and strategically. Sounds like a lot? It is.
Okay, I really want to watch this. I don't want to watch it right now. But this looks like it could be a very good good thing to watch. And then he adds another one. It says, in this clip, Ela says that the Atlantic Council money was to help Gazans.
So when that happens, because I'll pull it up in a minute.
It's really crazy how Hassan just doesn't want us to help Gazans.
He does, yeah, right. I mean, at this point, I've donated, I think, a pretty significant amount of money between all the different causes, over 10,000 for sure. I know there's no amount that would seem significant to the detractors, but
leave it to him to find a way to get upset about that.
but calling a Gazan advocate who's lost and 20 family members
and actively still losing people.
He was mourning the death of one of his cousins who had just died in an IDF airstrike, and Hassan is calling him a fucking Israeli asset. It's mad.
Fundraiser was for the.
Someone timestamp from the episode.
They keep digging the hole. Ryan, I'll check out that video. Yeah, that's definitely not looking good. I'd be curious to see what Hassan said that they're responding to. I linked you another clip before that showed it. I'm going to watch the full response on the podcast. The fact that they did this... The fact that this did include a legitimate charity along with the Atlantic Council thing makes this all difficult to parse through. It doesn't. You just love Zionists and you're always looking to give them an out. Bruh, no, I am not. I just want to cover all my bases before I criticize someone. Raising money, probably what he means. Raising money for yourself for Palestine is fine as long as you mention a charity afterwards. No, it's not, but you'll find a way to try to argue that. Ryan, I don't like you that much, but I made sure to double check which allegations against you were true and false. I don't think it's fine. I agree with you that it's bad. You don't do that with Ethan, lol. You've never seen any evidence of CPS was even called, but you buy it. Source, Ethan and Hila insist it happened. Okay. I mean, you also insist that you aren't a wanted criminal, and I'm believing you on your word, lol. I'm watching this segment. He's claiming that the support Palestine was only referring to the food bank part. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, Ryan, this is the extent of your... Instead of saying, like, no, I actually, like, look into these. I actually do my legitimate research. Instead, you just say, no, I believe everything I believe is just based on what someone said. So, Ryan, you're like, I think this guy might be a wanted criminal. Are you a wanted criminal? No. Okay. I investigated it. So it's like, okay. I mean, he's not a wanted criminal because you don't, there's no evidence of it. You can't find any evidence of it, so there's no reason for you to believe it. The burden of proof would be on someone. So you should saying, I believe you based on how there's no evidence for it. You know, and obviously you're telling the truth. I'm watching this segment. He's claiming that the support Palestine was only referring to the food bank part. But I do still agree. Oh, I'm watching the segment. He's claiming that the support Palestine was only referring to the food bank part. But I do still agree with you that he should have only included the food bank link, not the Atlantic Council link. Jesus Christ, Ethan just says Hassan works for Hamas. Definitely doesn't have the moral high ground now with getting mad at Hassan for saying he works with the ADL. So Ryan's like just learning new stuff. Oh my God. Ethan said Hassan works for Hamas? Like, dude, maybe you haven't been paying attention. Maybe you've just like caught like little clips of a few episodes, like not even curated clips, just like randomly dipping into the stream. BadEmp. He also says that the money for the Atlantic Council did not go to them. Hila said Hassan really doesn't want us to help Gaza in relation to it. You really want to find reasons to be nice to Zionism and Zionists. They're Nazis. You're not the anti-Zionist you think you really are. Bro, I want to criticize them. I just need to be hyper accurate in my criticism so I don't open myself to being accused of lying. Punch a Nazi, but be very charitable to people today who have actually been trying to justify a racial genocide live streamed to their phones for a year and a half. Makes sense. They accuse people of lying anyway. Ethan accuses people of lying for quoting things he said a day earlier. Can you please try to see me in good faith here? See, yeah, Ryan is just, he's desperate just for, like, affirmation, recognition from BadEmp. He wants BadEmp to respect him. Which, you know, obviously, like, it goes along with his whole, because presumably, like, the way he's like, ooh, I really hate all this stuff. I really criticize him about this and that. Presumably, Ryan is doing exactly the same thing if he's talking to Ethan, right? He's probably, like, having, like, a strained conversation like this where he's trying to constantly, like, agree with you and, like, just put forward friendly-sounding arguments to make it sound like we're all on the same side. Like, a lot of him wasn't trying to debate anything. He's just saying, I do believe this, and I do accept this, and I do agree with this, and I do agree with that. So he's trying to do the whole, like, I agree with you on 99%, but then if we disagree on this one thing, then you think that I'm like the enemy. It's the Cenk Uygur defense. It's like, let me make a big long list of agreements that we have, so that I can kind of use that against you. Say, why are you, you're using the points of agreement as a weapon against the point of contention, right? Okay. Not saying I'm perfect at that. Okay, I'm not trying to sweep Ethan's actions under a rug. I always try to predict what counter-arguments people could make against me so I can strengthen my arguments and have airtight criticisms. Not saying I'm perfect at that, lol, but if I'm bringing up counter-arguments, it's just so I can make sure I'm accurate. You're not acting in good faith, though. You have, throughout this conversation, been playing essentially devil's advocate. It's like talking to Loner Box. Like, there always has to be something to concede to the other side, is your mentality. Sometimes there doesn't need to be, though. Now, BadEmp is obviously like, he's got like a real attitude. He's a good teacher, but he's not actually, he doesn't have good bedside manner, as the equivalent phrase for a doctor. Their bedside manner, how friendly, he's not a Ryan Beard type, right? BadEmp is not a Ryan Beard type. He's more of a Professor Dave type. In the, I'm going to just tell you you're a fucking idiot while screaming true shit at you and correcting you and trying to make you feel bad and embarrassed. And Ryan's more like, no, I want to just like completely butter up and get more friendly and be nicer and nicer. It's like, oh, come on, man. Well, what about this other stuff I agree with you about? And this other stuff I agree with you about? We're basically on the same side, dude. We should be part of the same coalition. And he thinks the same about Ethan Klein too. He's like, we should be on the same side, brother. He wants to pull Ethan Klein left. I can see that. But he wants to pull BadEmpanada to the right. You're right. Sometimes there doesn't need to be. Zionism is bad. Nothing to concede there. Some of the questions you've asked me about Zionism have been the same energy as someone asking something like, well, do you at least acknowledge that many Germans found Nazism appealing? Sometimes it doesn't matter what happened to the other side or what they think. What matters is what they do and have been doing. That's fair. Like I said, I know one of my issues is I always try to see everyone's perspective, sometimes to my detriment. I'm telling you, you're going to end up trying to please both sides, and all that's going to happen is you're way too anti-Ethan for Ethan and his fans, even though you actually give him way too much grace. And you'll come off as way too liberal Zionist for the anti-Zionists. That's true. That's facts. Ryan Beard. I'm not going to try to please anyone. I'm just going to say what I honestly think. Yeah. Yeah, bro, you're not. You're not going to please anyone. I think I have insights that I haven't seen people say before. Oh my God. Oh my God. He's up as Ryan Beard has gone up. It's just the sign of a person being up their own ass. To think that you've got insights on this topic that you're so fucking ignorant about. That like just... This is 5 a.m. 5 a.m. Wait a minute. When did they... Was there a break? 4:54 in the morning. 4:39 in the morning. 7:20 p.m. Okay. So BadEmpanada kicked it off at 4:39 in the morning the next day. So they went from 7:20, then it stopped after the night. I wonder if, presumably, you watched that video. They keep digging a hole. 3 minutes later, Ryan Beard's like, I'll check out that video. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then they're just going on and on and on and on. Bro, I want to criticize them. I just need to be hyper accurate. Okay, blah, blah, blah. It's 5:24. Now, I don't know whose time zone this was. So who was up early? Maybe for someone it was just normal time. Okay, Ryan, you're delusional. You're up your own ass. But that's the purpose of the video, to give perspectives I haven't seen people give. If that leads me to people on both Ethan and Hassan's side hating me, so be it. I can't live my life in fear of people not liking me. It's exactly what someone who cares what people think of them says. This is that's the classic I absolutely care what everyone thinks about me line of saying I don't care what anyone thinks about me. Because we all think the coolest people are the ones who don't seem to think that they're caring about what other people say about them. That's like the classic cool thing. I'm not trying to like look cool or anything. It's just I'm just gonna smoke a cigarette and wear these sunglasses and wear this black leather jacket and slick my hair back. I'm not trying to look cool or anything. It's just like this is just what I happen to be wearing today. This is just how I styled my hair. Okay, well, Ethan is a Zionist. Genocide made him more Zionist, and this whole thing is not drama. It's a dispute about the genocide and Zionists that he tried to turn into drama because he was losing the original argument. So yeah, hopefully it's not going to be what I suspect. But giving a ton of grace to him because you liked him when you were younger here can only really mean downplaying Zionism. Because that's what it's all about. I mean, from your perspective, it probably will be what you expect because you're coming from the perspective that people on the left shouldn't care as much about anti-Semitism, which I disagree with, and I think Hassan does as well based on your convo. Lol, anti-Semitism is so irrelevant right now, and it's even more irrelevant to this Ethan shit. The Bel Air pogroms. Yeah, I know that's your perspective, so me talking about it at all is a waste of time from your perspective, haha. Even bringing up anti-Semitism in the context of this genocide can only be a justification. It's not my perspective, it's a Jewish supremacist genocide. But we have to think about the feelings of persecution that the perpetrators have. I don't think that's true. I think you should bring it up for the purpose of separating legitimate anti-Semitism from fake anti-Semitism. We don't, actually. Ethan Klein moved from the USA to Israel. He got automatic citizenship to live in another people's country that he had no right to be in just because he's Jewish, and the state essentially gave him a matchmaking service and assigned him a wife. If you just ignore it, that helps both the alt-right people who want to keep spreading anti-Semitism and the Zionists who accuse people like us of not caring about anti-Semitism. This guy has only ever gotten benefits from being Jewish. Yeah, I think that's generally true outside of like being upset by hate speech thrown his way, but that's not like material oppression. I get like 5,000 Ethan Klein fans sending me death threats a week. I don't have 5 million subs. People attack you with whatever they think will bother you. When I was younger, I was pretty close to being caught up in a neo-Nazi shooting, so I've seen firsthand what real anti-Semitism looks like. I was close to being caught up in a neo-Nazi shooting. For Ethan, it's always anti-Semitism. He thinks that rather... Did you see the article from 2018 from a PR guy he hired to try to brand Gokanaru an anti-Semite? No, I haven't seen that. I like Gokunaru. I've been chatting with him a lot. Full disclosure, I was once contracted by Ethan and Gila's company through my employer, as you will find out in this article. So I don't know who Gokunaru is. So I have some skin in the game. Some names and other non-critical information might have been changed to protect anonymity, but all the key details remain intact. It sucks to see people that you idolized make bad decisions. Like many other people, I once trusted H3 Productions as a voice of reason in online entertainment. To quote Ethan himself in 2016, we could do no wrong. I've worked in reputation management and internet marketing for almost a decade, so I was elated when I got a tip from my boss that we might be working with a major YouTube channel, only to find out it was Ethan and Hila Klein. We started out talking to H3 Productions through an intermediary over email in late 2017, early 2018, who wanted to set up Ethan and Hila and any of their staff with our guys in a call. Okay. Just a minute. Let's have Mr. Robot read this part for us.
The first meeting between H3 Productions and our team in Jan-Feb 2018 concerned promotion and branding, but as time went on and their podcast continued to get bad press, they pressed for our reputation management services and other stuff the company doesn't advertise on the front page. They asked if we would be able to control the amount of dislikes and likes they got on Reddit, YouTube, and other platforms, and if we could somehow remove comments or even file DMCA takedowns to remove any content that was critical of their brand, which really rubbed me the wrong way. It was a great contract, so we pressed on and continued to work as well as we could to their specifications. My day-to-day work mostly consisted of managing extensive networks of sock puppet accounts for the H3 Reddit, Twitter and YouTube channel, which is something that almost every large content producer does, to the surprise of no one. Only very recently did Ethan Klein approach my manager directly about new problems he felt his brand was facing. Ethan Klein talked to my manager, Gary, about his concerns pretty candidly, and I was present in the call to take notes while Gary and Ethan worked out details. Ethan told us about a certain video by a guy on YouTube named Gokunaru that he felt was very critical of his channel and his character.
What is this? This video has been removed for violating YouTube's policy on harassment and bullying. Well, that's too bad. So anyway, Ethan said that this video posed serious risk to his brand, and he asked us what we could do about getting the video taken down, if we could submit a DMCA request, and what other avenues he could pursue. We told him pretty plainly that the video was likely protected by fair use laws, and Ethan immediately flew off the handle and threatened to end the contract. We ended the meeting there and told him we'd pick it up with him another day. The following week, Ethan got back into a call with Gary, myself, and my coworker, Trent, and explained in an exasperated tone that he had the perfect plan. And all he needed us to do was act on it. After shouting at me and my boss, Ethan railroaded anything we said and encouraged us to implement a plan to make it look like all of his critics were attacking him from a purely anti-Semitic angle, and that the attack on his brand and character was an alt-right conspiracy from 4chan. When we objected to the racial angle, he insulted Gary personally and told us we were hacks and losers before apologizing, throwing a charge back our way, and ending the contract. I was pretty devastated, not because the job reflected poorly on me as a marketer, but because I was a direct witness to the catastrophic fall from grace of one of my idols. I used to listen to their old videos to go to sleep or have a laugh on a bad day, but I'll never be able to look at H3 Productions the same way again. Knowing that Ethan Klein would take advantage of racial divisions of the United States to accuse his critics of anti-Semitism by having us create sock puppet accounts, oversee a plan to reinforce his narratives, and shut down any legitimate critics with such an underhanded set of methods. I hope you change your brand and your attitude. Please. You were supposed to be the voice of reason on YouTube, but now you make me sick to my stomach. Okay. This guy is a little bit dumb, but he is first-hand witness. So I tend to find this very credible. He seems dumb because he used to trust H3 Productions as a voice of reason. Wow. 2018. 2018. This was 7 years ago. Oh, he used to be really cool in the past. I mean, that's what he's saying. He said that in 2018. He said he used to be really funny and cool. Ryan Beard. I'm surprised he hadn't told me about this. BadEmp. The article is anonymous, but it's very detailed and in line with everything we've seen him do in public. Ethan spent a very, very long time trying to get the Goku Nato video of him taken down, and eventually succeeded. And this article gives background on that and further info. Yeah, I know he claimed it was a death threat because of the skits in it. YouTube changed their rules because of him. They added simulated violence against another creator. I think Ethan and Goku Nato are on decent terms now. And then removed it for breaking the new rule. He's right, you know, Hassan Abi. If you're a YouTube content creator who hasn't said dick about Israel-Palestine and you're only now starting to let your critical position on Israel be known after 19 months of genocide, since it's no longer going to cause you severe career penalties and you spent any moment finger-wagging at people who have been correct the entire time, I will absolutely come after you. If you come out with a critical position without trying to both sides it, then great. Welcome to the fold. Only making a video on this now as a result of Ethan Klein drama to try to find the good in both sides is going to be shit. I don't know why I even came up with this idea. No, he's not right. I've talked about Israel and Palestine many... No, he's not right. I've talked about Israel and Palestine many times, so I'm not sure what he even means by that. No video until it's Ethan Klein drama time. I made a video calling out Asmongold a few months ago, and I've talked about Palestine in probably 10 different videos. Now, we looked into that a little bit. He definitely didn't put it in any of his thumbnails. Right? Like he said, it's the video about Asmongold, which maybe... Okay, to be fair, like, it is kind of the same sort of tactic of, like, let's make a video about a very popular guy for the clicks, but then once you watch the video, you get the education on Israel-Palestine. Now, instead, he did call out Asmongold and call out Zionism, but all he was doing, it was just him staring at the camera and declaring his opinions about it. And just trying to stake his side and just trying to be like, here's what I believe about it. It's like, I'm here. And instead, I think what he really should have done is have done some research about a lot of this and brought in a bunch of clips. For example, Asmongold was saying that they have genocide in their laws or something. That would have been a perfect time for Ryan Beard to be like, well, what does Hamas say? What does the Hamas charter actually say? Because you can literally just Google it and find it and read it. It's not even that long. And like, that'd be a bare minimum, right? And you could dig deeper. You could find the older one from 1988, right? The charter from 1988. You could read that one. And or just do a modicum of like, you know, when he criticizes them as people, saying that they're just like evil, backwards, just like show off, like dig in and get some clips of like actual Palestinian creators, like people living in Gaza. Like there's amazing people with, you know, talented people who thrive despite horrible circumstances. You know, like there's a lot to sort of show people that haven't seen the humanity. Like they don't get to see Palestinians be humanized. But just like show them. You know? And that instead, Ryan's just like looks at a camera and be like, I do and I think and when I had I think that and I think that and all it was is just him like blurting out his beliefs and being like, I'm a this person. And it screams, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a thoughtful person, I'm a careful person, I'm a trustworthy person. I'm the person you should click on every video they make because I'm going to say amazingly smart stuff because I have like a unique take on everything. I have a, what did he call it? I have a unique perspective. Brian says, I'm trying a lot. Yeah, I'm just doing that because I'm trying to figure out solutions. I'm just trying to figure out solutions. Why are you just trying to figure out solutions? Just shut up and support Palestine. No one's asking you to find a solution. Palestinians know exactly what the solution is. I'm trying to see the good in you even though we have disagreements. I'm trying to flesh out my anti-Zionist perspective. I was trying to learn from you. Hold on, we skipped forward a bit. Okay. So he was talking about he's talked about Palestine probably 10 different videos. I would say you don't really advertise it. It's not hard to call out someone who calls for genocide. Plenty of Zionists are happy to do that with Netanyahu. It's a lot harder to be frankly anti-Zionist without caveats. So saying that Israel's ethnically cleansing Gaza in 10 videos means I haven't sucked dick about Israel-Palestine? Come on, lol. You're making a whole video based on finding the good in a Zionist Nazi and attacking his critics. We know why. Ryan, those 10 videos aren't worth anything. Because, first of all, you don't even, they're not even visibly about that stuff, because I can't even find any. I found the Asmongold one where you talked about it, and I've given you my criticisms about that. But I don't know what these 10 other videos are, because I looked at both of your channels, and you don't have anything about Gaza or Palestine or Israel or anything in any of the titles. So maybe you slip it in to different videos here or there. But it's what, like, nobody cares. And if it's anything like the Asmongold one, it's just you just squawking. It's not you having done any research. Because, like, all of these stupid questions you're asking, you could have literally just, like, figured this shit out. You really could have. If you're really interested in looking stuff up. And you could even do your whole thing where you get both sides of the argument. Fuck, I do that. I listen to both sides. I try to understand, but I'm not so stupid as to be like, just simping for one side, like by just like this weird argumentative way that of you just being like, you're just trying to like move around and poke and prod at someone to get them to concede anything, just so that they can like attach, you know, I don't know, win their little centrist brownies by like de-radicalizing someone. Okay, I think this is about to heat up though, because they seem to be on good terms, but like BadEmpanada is pretty mad. He's mad Empanada. BadEmpanada turned to mad Empanada. And then says Ethan's a Zionist. Just admit him northern. Okay. So, BadEmpanada says, for Ethan, it's always anti-Semitism. He thinks that rather. Did you see the article? Oh, the PR guy. I'm surprised he hasn't told me about this. Yep. Okay, then we read this from Hassan. Wouldn't make concession to Nazi. There's no reason to make them too Zionist. I think Zionism is much more similar to Christian nationalism than Nazism. Why? Because it's not 6 million, literally. It's only 1 million, 2 million that are being starved. It's only 100,000 that are slaughtered. I mean, I don't know. To be fair, I can't think of a Christian, strictly speaking, Christian nationalist country that's bombing the shit out of another people and genociding them. And if Nick Fuentes made a good point, I would concede to him. Your ideology doesn't determine if you're right or wrong about stuff. Okay. So this is also a truism. Everybody knows that a point, whether something's right or wrong, doesn't necessarily depend on who said it. If someone makes a factual statement, that person might be a bad person, and it may or may not be right or wrong. But there's a reason that we say one factual statement over any other factual statement, because there's an infinite number of facts regarding any issue whatsoever. And the facts which you raise are inherently facts that you raise to sort of build or support one side or to attack another side, right? So bringing up good points is an attempt for them to build up their arguments, build up their support, draw people into them, say, hey, this guy's talking sense. Hey, you gotta hand it to him. Hey, he made a good point about women do be shopping. You know what I mean? I gotta give it to that. I agree with you on the women shopping part. I don't agree with you so much on the white supremacy, though. I actually kind of disagree with you. Now, funnily enough, there is I think a strategy of debating someone that, it's kind of a more sly, a less aggressive approach, which is where you kind of follow along and mostly just agree with them and play dumb a lot, and then just have like one little thing, right? Because they could blab a whole shitload of nonsense at you, right? And just take it all and be like, okay, oh, okay, yeah, oh, okay, wow, yeah. Just take it all in, and then just think about it, and then just pick one of the dumb little points and just hammer on it. Just don't drop it. Just that one little point. And then you can go from at first mostly agreeing to at the end saying like, no, I just don't trust any of it. Right? Because that's a tactic used against someone who delivers too much information. You can attack with too much information sometimes, because a weakness that you get is they'll overinflate the importance of just one little detail, and then they'll use that to besmirch everything else you said. Right? And also people listening and following along with a debate are going to have a harder time remembering a whole slew of bullshit. If you say, here's the top 100 reasons why this is blah, 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 you could make 100 reasons, but it's going to be a lot easier to just get like 3, right? Nail them down, make them big and fat. 3 things. It's just going to remain in the brain. Remain in the brain. I need to get some water. Some agüita. So, let's take another little break. Break. And we'll come back. And we're almost to the end. All right. So Ryan is talking about how he's basically an honorable fighter in the sport of debate, where I do concede if my opponent be him abhorrent. If my opponent maketh a good point, I thus will concede. It's like, okay. That's nothing to fucking brag about. And it just entirely depends on like you can often conceding in a debate is a tactical device. It's a thing you might be doing strategically in order to win the debate. So you just saying like, I would concede the point if it's a good one. It's like, okay. That's like saying, yeah, I would use my shield if someone came at me with a sword. I'd step back. If they're coming at me full force, I'd step back, I'd lift the shield. I would do that. Just saying. That's the proper form. That's the way that's how you protect yourself from injury. Your position would be injured if you refused to concede such an obviously good point, such a true statement. Why it would be mad not to concede. But it's like, dude, fine. You might concede a good point. If you're debating a larger issue, that concession should be done and used against Nick. And say like, yeah, that's obviously true. Nobody's arguing against that, Nick. The point is, you're a fucking little Nazi weirdo fuck, and you need to fuck off. Right? Like, if Nick Fuentes makes a good point, I wouldn't be like, oh, Nick Fuentes made such a good point. I'd be like, Nick Fuentes is just saying obviously true shit to try to throw as a red herring to throw us off the original argument, which is like, fuck you, you're a fucking Nazi, fuck off. Just fuck off and nobody fucking cares, and we don't want to hear from you. So if Nick Fuentes made a good point, you know what I would do? If Nick Fuentes made a good point, I'd fucking yawn and look the other way. And I wouldn't try to be like a fucking hoity-toity centrist about it. Be like, despite his abhorrent ideology, I must admit that his logic is sound. Like, you fucking dumb fuck. Do you realize how that sounds? Like, to a normie? Imagine a normie coming around and being like, well, this centrist guy says that they have sound logic. You know? But he's too woke to actually agree with him. That's what they're going to hear. They're going to hear that they're right, that the other side is right, the right wing is right. That's what they're going to think. And that you, Ryan Beard, are a cucked liberal soy, what do they call it? A soybean? Soybean paste. Pasty soybean. That's what they'll call you. You're not going to get any respect from either side because you're going to be fueling the right while trying to basically, I don't know, honeypot, capture, just, anti-Zionist, young, misinformed, pre-informed people. You're just going to get them all mixed up. Nobody should be listening to you about Palestine issues anyway. Nobody should be listening to Ryan Beard about it and getting educated by that. Absolutely not. He's a green beard, or what do you call it? Green thumb? He's got green toes because he's so new in this. He's newly his toes are still wet. What's the expression for someone who's only been learning about something for like a few minutes? So BadEmp says, no, it's not. It is absolutely just Nazism for Jews. Why not? Christian nationalism was used to justify genocide of Native Americans. Christian nationalism was used to justify the genocide of Native Americans? No, dude, no. Manifest Destiny was used to justify the genocide of Native Americans. And from that was a necessity to remove the native people, and they did it through many forms. Besides just slaughtering them outright, they also kidnapped their children and re-educated them, right? And so they had to remove every aspect of their culture, religion, language, everything, and teach them to be proper Americans, as they would think of it, which would be Christian, because they just all happen to be Christian. That is not, I don't know if that's not Christian nationalism in any form that's happening today, the way Zionism is. Zionism is hot pot cooking, active, present. Christian nationalism of America, in terms of its Native American genocide, it's not necessarily Christian. It's just nationalism. It's just American nationalism that is genociding Native Americans and has done it. However, I mean, I'm not sticking up for Christians, because Christians do make up a majority of the problem, but most of them are fucking Zionists. They're not Christian nationalists, or they're both. They're all one and the same, man. Christian nationalists and Zionists are peas in a pod. Don't know why you think you know about this stuff, lol. I think it's pretty similar. No, it wasn't. There was a white supremacism. What the fuck is this Christian nationalism you just invented as if it's some primary contradiction? This is going to be a train wreck. Huh? You don't know what Christian nationalism is? I'm curious how you think it's exact same as Nazism. I'm curious how you think it's the exact same as Nazism. From what I've seen, most Zionists don't believe Jews are the master race. He's saying, okay, so BadEmp was saying Zionism is the exact same as Nazism. Yeah. And when he says exact same, he's talking about in terms of moral justification. Right? Because Ryan Beard says Zionism is more similar to Christian nationalism than to Nazism. BadEmp says, no, it's not. It's absolutely just Nazism for Jews. So then Ryan is saying, I'm curious how you think it's the exact same as Nazism. So Ryan, you're the one who brought out that that platter with the choice, with the three ideologies, right? You had Nazism, you had Zionism, you had Christian nationalism. And you're like, I think these two are like this different, Zionism and Nazism. And Zionism and Christian nationalism are like this different. They're like less different. They're closer. And BadEmp's like, no. Zionism and Nazism are like this. I'm curious how you think it's the exact same as Nazism. From what I've seen, most Zionists don't believe Jews are the master race. So this is supposed to be like, we're supposed to consider that and be like, okay. So they get what, 3.5 woke points? If we're like tallying up how shitty, what would that be? Like the worst to the most best. What? They'll have woke points, and then they'll have like what do we call them? Fascio points. So like, yeah, they're let's see, 87% fascist. Ooh, but they have 7% woke. They allow gay pride parades in one of their cities. Oh, actually, they canceled it this year because they provoked Iran into attacking them. Sorry. Oh, by the way, we're gonna use queer Palestinians as inside agents and blackmail them, threatening to out them and force them to be spies for the IDF. Oh, we're so fucking progressive. Hey, only some of them think that they're the master race. So is he trying to say like Nazism? It's like this bad because not only because of all the atrocities they did, they also thought they were the master race. And when you think about Zionists and all the atrocities they do, only some of them think they're the master race. So, like, shouldn't we acknowledge that there's, like, they're not quite as bad? Ryan, what are you doing? What are you doing, Ryan? BadEmp, probably sick of, like, typing. It's been 2 days. You could hop on stream right now and I'd be glad to explain. Christian nationalism is not much of a thing. No, I know a ton about the colonization of North America. It was just white supremacism. Ryan, they used Christianity as a justification for colonialism. That's all I'm saying. White supremacism was also a major factor, of course. Nah, that was post hoc, not at all the primary contradiction or tool. Again, hop on if you want this explained in a much more suitable way. Haha, no thank you. Ryan. Oh, I wish you guys had gotten on. I wish y'all had gotten on the stream and talked this out loud in wordy words. That would have been nice. I have videos for everything. The history of the intentional creation and race and racism by human beings. Okay, this is a good video. This is not the fake one of Yaqub. How race was invented. So, this is a really good BadEmpanada video. Definitely very interesting. The invention of blackness and whiteness. Okay, Ryan's coming in for another slap attack. I hear you misrepresented a bunch of my arguments on your stream. I don't appreciate that. I was trying to gain a better understanding of your worldview, not trying to justify Zionist talking points. When I brought up rebuttals to your questions, it was to understand your worldview, not trying to say that I agree with all of the points I was making. So I really don't appreciate how you represented me. Anyway, I don't think talking anymore is going to accomplish anything. What? Okay, what's the time difference here? So this is 9:25 a.m. that he sends these things here. And then a bunch of, I guess it's the afternoon. It's a bunch of hours later. I hear you misrepresented a bunch of my arguments on your stream. Well, did you watch the stream? Or did you just get someone in your comments saying that that's what he did? Yeah, sure I did. I know gotcha attempts when I see them, and anti-Zionists wouldn't ask those sorts of questions. They're not gotcha attempts, you moron. I'm trying to flesh out my anti-Zionist perspective. I was trying to learn from you. I mean, they might be Zionist fucking gotcha questions, Ryan, that you're kind of not smart enough to understand. They might be questions you're hearing other people say, but you're not able to sort of see that they're not good faith questions. I was trying to learn from you. You kind of were learning from him. I mean, it's an interesting sort of teacher who's like yelling at you and hates you, but still teaching you nonetheless. You're about to misrepresent just about everything ever in an attempt to be soft on a Zionist propagandist. Morin is very rich given you did not know the very basics. You're acting in bad faith, and I hope you learn to actually accurately represent people in the future. You've defamed me for a year or more. You tried to sabotage a fundraiser even. I gave you a chance to come speak to yourself, for yourself. I didn't defame you. I said that you had doxed and harassed people, which is true. We're supposedly on the same side according to you, but I think you know fully well that's not actually the case. Yeah, and if you tried to argue that live, you'd look like a dumbass. You'd like a dumbass. Because it's not true by anyone. It's not true by anyone, not a dumbass's standards. All right, we'll see about that. Have a good one. I want nothing more for you to confront me with the purported evidence, haha, because I know it's nothing. And you need a hug box environment to frame it badly. You know this. You know with pushback you'd look dumb. You claim to be a harassment victim because I actually responded to your year-long defamation campaign, Ethan Klein Jr. You see, he doxed the politician running for political office who called him a child sex offender, and he harassed me by responding to my statements. Gonna take some great editorializing to make this work. I look forward to ripping it to shreds. I can't think of anything more pathetic than being such a centrist that you make a video that's just gonna amount to, sure, Ethan Klein is a Nazi, but weren't the anti-Nazis a bit too mean to him? Thumbs up from Ryan Beard. You're even friends with the Ultimate Rape Reviewer. Did you know you've never mentioned the word Gaza on either of your channels? Just a funny thing. Your first ever mention of it will be in a video sweeping for Ethan Klein and attacking people who've been talking about genocide for 20 months, in which you couldn't find the energy to make a single video about it. I love anti-Zionism. Ryan just sort of backed out. I mean, someone had to stop at some point, but Ryan's got nothing to say. This is pretty true. Sure, Ethan Klein is a Nazi, but weren't the anti-Nazis a bit too mean to him? It's true. And that's the end. That's the end, my friend. So what's my verdict? Ryan is I wouldn't be quite as as harsh as BadEmpanada. I might say he has potential, but the dude really just needs to listen and learn a lot more before coming out with anything to say about this. And he needs to have a basic take where he shows solidarity for Palestine and educates people on it. You need to advocate, you need to educate, show some stuff. You know how to put together a fucking video. You know how to look up and say some shit and then roll a clip that proves that shit. Say some shit, prove that shit. Say some shit, prove that shit. You know how to do that. You've done that before. You made that great video about Destiny. We liked it. We liked it on this stream. We had a lot of good things to say about that. So I think there's hope. I think there's hope for Ryan Beard. Ryan, I think, has earnest intentions and even admitted that his desire to be a centrist is often to his is it his or their? Often to his benefit, his detriment. Do I think BadEmpanada's a antisemite? Fucking no. He's being just like a kind of funny, angry, grumpy teacher who's not even supposed to be a teacher. But BadEmp's probably just sort of clapping back because he just kind of can't help himself. And he probably does care, and he probably would rather Ryan tell the truth and learn about this shit. And he's probably really surprised by the questions you're asking. Let's just find the questions with a question mark. What evidence do you have the skull thing was a hoax? Now you're saying it's from a museum. Could someone not have used the website? Isn't trusted. Is it not possible someone could have fabricated? Reached out. Told to die. Let's go further down. What do you think is the difference between black separatism and Zionism? Black separatism in the USA? They were considering other places, right? Didn't they lobby for a partition that was seen as totally unreasonable by the Palestinians? Who declared war on the Zionists before the Nakba? Where should Palestinians go? That's BadEmpanada saying that. Back to Palestine makes sense. They had limits though, right? So it's really weird because they peppered throughout is these little personal things of where's a clip that proves that I said that you did this? But they're keeping it cordial enough that it feels like two lawyers in terms of their energy of being. It's as if they're sort of stuck with each other, so they don't have to be friendly. They'll both stay in the room and argue full-throatedly, but nobody's gonna storm out, you know. They're both in there, and they're here for it, and everything's within the bounds, you know. So, yeah, I think let's call it. And it was a good stream. That's all I gotta say. Bye.